Today we've got 2 weeks to go, so we better crack on, get the engine in, and then we're ready for Mendips. We're back today with a freshly dynoed engine. Now Rebels have quite strict rules regarding the engines, just to make it nice and fair, and it cuts out checkbook racing. So all the engines go to Hans, Kiramark, Rebels HQ in Hanbury, and they all go on one dyno, and the dyno by one guy. Now this keeps everything fair and to the book. Now the way he seals them to make sure no one can tamper with the engines is unique seals. So there's the intake to the exhaust, there is the front timing cover, round here is the sump one, got the sump to the block, and then at the back we've got the cylinder head to the block. Now these are strategically placed seals to stop any tampering being done to the engines. So you can't take the cylinder head off without breaking a few seals. So when you get to the track and you're getting scrutineered, if you're missing seals, you can still race, but if you win a championship, your engine's got to come out, go to Hans, and he'll tell you if it's legal or not. And then obviously it determines if you win and you keep your championship. But enough of me rambling, let's get this into the car. It's our first job to get it in. Obviously, bit of wood, jack. And all this does, this supports the back of the engine when we get it sat in. Because until we get the starter motor and gearbox in, it just held in with 2 bolts. Now, everyone has their own unique ways of putting engines in, and over the 11 years I've been doing it, we found a very unique way for ourselves to get it in. Quite like the taking out, we stand on the front bumper and air rail and then just sort of wrangle it in. Now, they're not too heavy, and hopefully we don't drop this one like we nearly did taking it out. So rest her on there. I'll take this wing off just to make it easier. Oh, she's going. Ooh, there we go. Oh, we did nearly drop it then. So we rest the back on the jack, rest the front engine mount on the chassis rail. Now, as you can see, the engine's on a little bit of a slant. So we'll put the jack too high. So we'll just slowly let it down, level it out. Now, if our lovely little camera lady can poke her camera in here, you can see one of the holes in the chassis for the engine bolt. Now what we'll do is we'll move the engine and line the holes in the front cover with that one, and then we're able to get 2 bolts in from the underneath. Now, it's nice and easy. I'm out of breath, I'm really unfit, we've just been for pies. So we're trying to work that off. So we'll just move it into place, and then we need to get our 2 front bolts, which are here, and our nuts, which are somewhere around here. So keeping in the whole Halfords toolset little challenge we're doing, everything will be done with Halfords toolset. So we'll just stick 1 bolt in, hold it in place. It's easy with the wings off, but of course not all the time you'll be having the wings off. Like at the track you won't be taking the wings out. So we'll finger tight that in for now. And then this is where we've got to, so I'll give it a bit of a reach around. To get it in. Give it a twist. There we go. Our crew chief's running around. She's on a mad inspection here. So if you see her running around in the background, she's having a lot of fun. Chuck the washer on, chuck the on. Easily done. So with the front bolt in, that now holds the engine so it can't slip back and fall. Now, we are going to stick the gearbox in next. but I have put the jack a little bit too far back. So all we'll do, lift up the back of the engine, kick the jack forward, making sure a bit of wood isn't going to be in the way of the gearbox. Just like that. So with the front mount in, we'll focus on the gearbox next. Like we said earlier, a lot of people will have their own way of doing this. This is our sort of way around getting it done quick. There's a thing there. So when fitting the gearbox, there's two bolts that go in the top. Now, as you can see, one's just a little bit longer than the other. Now, one of them is longer because there's a dowel coming out the engine, or some people remove the dowel. It depends what's on your car. But longest one on the left. That's what you've got to remember. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll have the longer one for both, and they'll just pack that out with washers. So if you get a car and you see there's a load of washers, it's for a reason. So we'll have Ellie popping around the other side as we fit the box. And what I'll do is I won't leave the bolts on the floor because we need them. I'll pop them up here. Gearbox straight in. Now sometimes what will happen is you'll be wiggling and wobbling and trying to get it in and it won't go in. Now what is a good method is if you get your gear stick, pop it in and stick it in a gear, then you can grab the prop shaft flange, and that gives you a little bit of chance to move the input shaft into the clutch. It just sort of makes it a little bit easier. So slide her on in, lining her up as best we can. Give a little prop shaft a little twist and there we go. Now remember, in the vault, longest to the left, and what I mean by left is when you're sat in the car looking forward to your left hand side. Now these are, what are they? They're a 5/16 UNC. Now a lot of people will mistake these for M8 and they'll go, oh, missing a bolt, and they'll just waz an M8 in there, but it will knock the threads up. So 5/16 UNC. Longest to the left. And shortest to the right. Now we're only hand tightening these for now, because we don't want to ugger everything in until we've got all the mounts in. So with the gearbox in, our next thing to do is the left hand side engine mount. I'll go over to the trailer and grab it. So as removed, as it came out, sorry, we'll put it back in. Now with this, what we'll do is we'll slide these two bolt holes over the gearbox threads, and then we'll get our nuts and just finger tight them on. Now this mount is usually what's going to tell you if you're a bit tight up one way or the other way. And as you can see, I'm struggling to get her in, so we do need to come over this way a bit. Or not. Oh, I'll tell you why. Because I had it the wrong way around. Because I'm an idiot. So we'll get the mount in, slide it over the two bolts on the side. Now these nuts on the side are 5/16 UNF. Now, for those people that don't know, the difference between UNF and UNC is that last letter, F. Oops. F stands for fine thread, C stands for coarse thread. Now what you'll tend to find is bolts going into the engine, a coarse thread, and threads coming out of the engine, a fine thread. Why? I don't know. We'll just finger tight these ones on for now. Oh, she's shifted a bit. There we go. Right, so me and Ellie are going to swap places. Now down that engine mount, you'll notice she sat a little bit too high. So right down there. Right down there. There we go. So down on this engine mount, this one sat too high, so we're going to lower the jack until that sits where she should sit. There we go. Now that's sat on its 2 mounting holes. So we'll get the bolts. We go from underneath up on these 2, purely just because of how we load the car into the van. Any stud sticking out too much just catches on the floor. So I'll grab the bolts from underneath and we'll come around the other side. This Rebel Malak is a good workout, I'll tell you that. Nuts. So with the side ones, we'll just go up underneath. Now these are M10s, so there's no UNF or UNC to think about. Just good old plain bolts. And if I knew where my washers were, so we'll do it from gearbox hole, so that you'll be able to see from this side just what we're doing. So we'll get the first one in as best we can. Finger tight the bottom. And going back from the front this side, we can get the front one on. So we'll go down where the alternator is with our arm. Reach up, forget our washer, nick it out for ourselves. I'm dedicated to do this by myself, so no Ellie help. Well, with that nut started and finger tight, that's 2 engine mounts done. So we'll go to the starter motor now, which is over here. So we'll slot the starter motor in. You can't really get this wrong. There's only one way it can go. Wash your nut, finger tight. Now, this is the interesting part, our little bottom engine mount. Now a lot of the cars, they'll look a little bit different than this. This is just one we made because our other one had a little crack in it. So, we'll set that on first. Go bolt through gearbox. Give our starter motor a wiggle. Bolt through the starter motor and then the engine mount. Wash your nut. Again, finger tight. Then one more bolt and we can buzz her all together. Big bolt. Now this one's got to have to go through the underneath because we can't get the bolt through the top on the side because the starter motor's in the way. Washer. And nut. Now with all 3 engine mounts in, we can lower the jack and take it out. As you see, she sort of settles in place. Jack comes out and ready to go. So we'll start with the starter motor just because we're here. Now I know this is a lot easier with the wing off. But it's just as easy with the wing on. Make sure she's sat in place. I'm not just tightening it awkwardly like we are doing now. Oh no. There we go. Don't worry guys, I'm not professional. I don't know what I'm doing. Right, we'll nip that one up, we won't go full tight just yet. We'll get this bottom one tight. impact wouldn't be good right now. There's no room for the basic one. Right, now we can nip them up nice and tight. So we'll get the start motor to the gearbox first. And then we'll go engine mount to chassis next. Now, while we're on this side, a couple of other things we can do. So we'll get our 13mm spanner and we'll connect up the starter motor. So this is nice and simple. You've got big spare terminal that goes on there, and you've got main lead that goes on a starter motor. Now what I would recommend is, before doing this, make sure your battery's disconnected and or your kill switch is off, because you don't want your main lead coming off and sparking everywhere. So give that a nip up with 13mm. Connect up the coil, so that's the negative lead from your condenser that comes out your dizzy. We've got the negative lead from the coil, into just clip into each other, and that is that connected up. Now the last thing to do on this side, if you have an oil pressure light, you plug your oil pressure in. We don't. We just send it until it goes bang. Here's your fuel line. I believe that is a 6 or 7mm. Clicky click. Okay, right. That's everything this side done. So we'll do the front engine mounts next, and then we'll do the other side, and then we'll get prop shaft on next, and then interior panels. That sort of finishes the front off. So I'll swap my deep socket out for a shallow. I've got crew chief looking at me. It's on the other side of the car. She's looking like, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong. So spanner up here. Ratchet on the bottom. Now these need to get stuck down nice. Snugged down nice. Because you definitely don't want these coming loose. Because that will be a bad time. I'm upside down. And there we have it. So with the front's done, this side done, got one more engine mount, and it's plugging and plumbing everything else in. So we need 4 rounds of Ugga Duggers. So this is nice and simple. If I can get the socket on, we go. I don't know if I need a deep socket for this. We get long extension. Just slots in nicely down here. So with the alternator off, it's nice and easy to get your arm down here, get your spanner on the bottom, and whizzer away. And while you're in the same place, reach the spanner over, put a socket on the other one. Oh, found it. There we go. Et voila. And she's in. So what we could do now, while we're at this side, we'll get the 5/16 UNF bolts or nuts on this side of the gear mount type. Then we'll get the alternator plugged in. Then radiator, I think. It sort of finishes the engine base side of things off. Now, I know we're doing it all with a simple Halfords tool set, and as you can see, these are fixed ratchets. But we've found over the years they do a lockable head ratchet spanner, and it works wonders for these bolts or nuts, because these ones don't have to take the mick. You can only get like a quarter of a turn on at a time. So that's that nice and snugged. One on the bottom, one on a bit more with hand. Bit more. So we're going to really get a minimal amount of turnage. So you're just there like ratcheting away. Making noise. Right, that one's tight. So moving on to the alternator. Now with the alternators, the standard Reliant ones, they're quite long. Now you can still run them, but what we found is that back part is plastic in it. It's not too close, but it's a little bit closer to the manifold, so she can be a bit tight when fitting. So what we use, and she's a little bit dirty, we use mini alternators. Now these are a lot stubbier. Now one thing I would highly recommend is when you get them, if you can get one with this clip on, because what this does is there's a specific plug that goes with this alternator. So what some people do is they'll just get a spare terminal, pop it in the back, it does the same job. But when you're in a rush and you're trying to hurry and you're trying to blindly find the hole with a spare connector, it can be a little bit of an annoyance. So we go to these alternators purely because there's a nice plug and they're shorter. Now as you can see on this one, we've got a spacer and a rod. Now from factory, the Reliant had a bolt this side and a bolt this side. That is the more, that's like sort of the right way to do it. But when you're trying to be quick in the at the track, you're trying to take an engine out, undoing 2 bolts is a lot more time than undoing 1. So we have a big rod. Now the way we do it is where the mount is at this side, we'll go bolt first, through the alternator, spacer, first mount, which is your front engine mount plate, and then there's a bit of a gap, it goes through the back mount and then through the back engine plate, or back little block on the plate. Now with these, with running a bar, one thing that can happen if you don't thread lock things, excuse me, is if one of the nuts comes loose, that bar can slide backwards, which yes, it's a problem, but it's not too much of a problem, or forwards, which can then take your fan belt out and overheat, and you've got a little bit more of a problem on your hands. So with the alternator, she just simply drops in from the top. In fact, Miss Ellie, do you want to get the 2 engine mounts this side? So we've got, there we go. So there's your front mount and there's your back mount. So it'll be front mount, spacer, then alternator. And that way she all goes on and it lines up with the belt. So I'm going to try and do this over the camera to show you exactly what I mean. Oh, this is actually not going to fit. Bear with me a second. Bear with me. There we have it. Now I believe that top alternator mount is on the wrong side, so we'll just loosen that bolt. Gives it a bit of movement. There we go. So rod first goes in the alternator hole, then spacer, which the newer front plates has these welded onto the front plate, so you're not having to mess about with the spacer. Oh, she's not going on, there we are. Right, we just need to find the front mount hole. Slide the bolt all the way in. through the back of the alternator and onto, or into, sorry, the hole there. Now, the plug we're on about looks a lot of something like that. So what this does is, that plugs into the back of your alternator, and that bar was showing you clips in, so that can never fall out. And with how stiff and bumpy the Rebels are, that's a fantastic little thing. And she's only cheap, it's about £8 for the plug. So I'll get the nut on the back, and we'll give her a tighten. Now it's quite tight with a mini alternator, so just imagine what it's like with the standard Reliant one. I acquire more tools. So the rod is M8, just 13 mil stuff. Now we go tight with this, but we don't go overly tight. Just enough so you can still get a little bit of movement on the alternator to get your belt tension. Now we need a bolt for the top, which is on this side. And just simply goes through the top of the alternator through the bracket. There we go. Now, belt on. Oh no. Why the numbers going nowhere? So it's to go around the bottom pulley, around the front part of the water pump pulley, bring that up, use the fins to slot it on, and same with the fan. There we go. So now it's just a case of tightening the alternator, and that is this side done. Oh, well, that's the charging system done. Voila, sorted. But while we're still at the front, let's get all the water hoses connected. Let's get the radiator installed. Now I'm going to have to move all my wing bolts. So when you're doing refitting an engine in a workshop, having a radiator out might not seem like a good thing, but it gives you so much more room to work on everything. D. Funky S looking hose goes on first. I might give her a little bit of Rudder 40. If I knew where it was. There we go, she should slot on now, nicely. So this big silver thing, if some of you at home know where it is, fantastic. And some look dirt, it is a swell pot. Now, from what I know, which isn't a lot, but it's just enough to get by, there's a swell pot, creates a swell inside, so any air that's trapped in the system will come up to the top and stay there. Now, some have vents on, some don't. We've just never had a vent on it, we've never had any overheating problems. So that is what that big pot is, and that's why we're connecting these hoses. You could go straight from radiator to engine, but you'll be forever bleeding it. Because you'll have airlocks, yeah. Give them a nice nipple. Where's me? It is. Bit quicker. One hose, I'll get the radiator. Again, quite a lot of radiators are mounted in very different ways, but ours, just got these plates on the side, they mount to 2 plates in the chassis. Slots them from the top. Get me overflow pipe out of the way. Now this top hose is a bit stiff. The one we have, it's all reinforced with steel inside, so it's just a little bit of a bugger to get on. Now I'll use the one that's in my pocket. We'll get that started. Then we'll bolt the radiator in, and then we can give everything a nice tighten up. Thought stick a glove on. Try and keep my hands clean, and the glove says otherwise. Before I get too gung-ho, we'll make sure the other one fits in first. Oh, show on. So, a couple of minutes, we've got engine in, alternator and charging system in, and we're just finishing off the water system. Wicked. Last hose at the bottom just to pop on. The Jubilee clip. So we had fun while we was down at Rebels HQ. We had 3 engines with us. We had the number 20 car, which is the one we're working on now. I think that pulled, oh, I can't remember. I think it was 51 something horse. We had the hire car engine, which is an animal. So he pulled maximum horsepower, 52.2. And we had Mac McClure's, which was 51.6. So, with our little bundle of engines, there was Aaron Chave's engine as well, that went. I think that pulled 51 point something. So we've all got good strong engines, and should be good. But the teardown of this one, we found a few things. We found 2 cracked pistons, oil pressure release valve was shot big time, chain was slack, still fine. Can't remember, but the cam was good, which was alright. We've changed the valve springs, they're all changed now. And it was just a case of pop it on. Crew chief's being a little mad at me. Hey, what are you doing? She's checking over the hire car, ready for mend dips. So if you would like to know more about the hire car, if you pop over to Rebels Racing Facebook page, and you can gain some information there. But also, it's not just the black and pink one that's going to be for hire this year. At some point later in the year, Team Maddox, number 905, they're getting a hire car ready at the minute. And also, I think it's 291 John Gould, he's also getting a hire car. So they're 2 very good teams which do have very strong cars on the track. So if you want to have a go at Rebels, contact us on Facebook or contact the people on Facebook, and they'll point you in the right direction of whoever you want to hire from. But they're all good cars. I can't say they're not because they are. So with radiator in, alternator in, we'll plug the alternator in. It's alright us telling you about the plug, but if we don't plug her in, she's not going to do now. We'll poke our little pipe through the hole. Plug it in, lift the little locking tab over, and with that satisfying click, she's done. Next on the list, before I forget, while we're here, is throttle linkage. Now we're going to be doing a little bit of a sort of maintenance engine video, what to look for, how to set things up. So for now, we're just going to chuck the throttle rod on, and she's good to go in my eyes. Now some of these are a bit different. Danny Boy's, he's got a rose joint on his throttle. These ones are a little like pivoty ball thing with a really teeny tiny annoying little clip that if you drop it at the track, it's the hardest thing to find. So if you've got some of them, it's good to have spares. AJ can't find the hole. AJ can't find the hole. Oh no, it's a disaster. There we go. Oh, nearly dropped it. Bosh. So, engine side, everything is donezoed. Now, what we'll do is, just for ease of use, we're going to buzz the wheels on, going to jack it down, move the jack stands to the back, then we can get the prop shaft on, get all the clutch rod in, get the interior panels on, and we're done. So, with the back end of the car now jacked up, that means both wheels are off the ground so we can spin them, which will rotate the prop shaft. I'm going to slide the exhaust in. It just sort of slips on, clamp it at the back, we'll clamp it at the front, and then we'll take it out of gear from having it in gear earlier to get the prop shaft on, and then get the interior panels on. So with the clamp slidden on the front, we'll just tighten the rear mount, which nips the exhaust in place. Now I've got the exhaust on, it's then clutch rod, so that simply just slides up into the master cylinder, and the little clevis fork goes in, or the clevis pin, sorry. So that's just as easy, you can't really see on the camera. Don't worry, it's not that much of a fun job. It's just a case of lining pins up with holes, but as we've proven tonight, AJ can't find the hole, and he can't find the hole once again. I'm sure there's some courses for that. But now, now the pin's in, we'll get the prop shaft on. So the prop shaft can only go on one way, so it's important to make sure that everything's lined up nice. And the easiest way to do that, get one of your bolts, pop it through the hole, and see if another bolt will go through the other one, which it does. So with washers and nuts, Narlocks, these are going to be nice and tight. We'll go around, finger tight them on all first, because you don't want to rugger dugger them, because if you do, you might not be able to get some of the other bolts in, because the way the bolt is, that we use anyway, we've seen some other cars have different ones, is our shoulder bolts, they've got like a machine shank on them, so it takes up the full tolerance of the, if camera focuses, there we go. So there's a machine shank on them, so if you've not got everything lined up, they simply won't go in. So what we'll do first, we'll just we'll put them in, we won't finger put them in, we'll just slide them in and pop the nuts on, make sure that they're all in and they're all starting. Last one. Washer and nuts. It helps if you get the nuts on straight. and you don't drop them like we're doing. Oh. This is the sort of content you're coming to see. AJ dropping his nuts everywhere. And his washers. So with the washer found, apologies for that, we'll get everything snugged up and we'll get it all tightened up. Now, what we would recommend is don't go overly too tight straight away, just to make sure everything seats properly. Because the last thing you want is a wobbly prop shot, because your flanges aren't flanging and your bolts aren't bolting. So with prop shaft on and the gear linkage on, we will now move on to the gear shaft, or gear selector. Now these are just held in, once again, by a nice little clip that goes through a collar. I'm going to remove half of Crew Chief's fluff. She likes to mark a territory. They just slot in. And this collar goes over. So the pins line up with two holes, front and back. There's the front and our back, and vice versa. And they drop in, and the little clip keeps it all in place. So you've not got an annoying linkage. Now, before we connect the two, we better go get our cleaned interior panel. Now, a motto that I've got written on my panel is do the right thing, not the smart thing. Now, to me, the right thing, if you're racing, is go for it, give it some stick. The smart thing would be think. I don't really think, I just do. So we'll lock this in. Now, depending on how your Rebel has interior panels fixed, it determines this step. We simply use tech screws because they're quick, they're easy, and they're just easy to get the panel off. I was trying to think of a third word then, but my mind went to mush. So we'll pop them in, and then we will quickly get them all whizzed in. Now, trying to keep true to the whole just using a Halfords tool set, we usually have a 1/4 inch impact gun that whizzes these in super quick time. But that is not true to form with our little challenge. So once again, she's looking more like a Rebel ready for racing. If I can remember my righty tighties, lefty loosies. So with the interior panel done, we're going to move on to the last job of the night, which, once again, I've lost a washer. It's on the top. Of just connecting the gear shaft up. M8 bolt straight the way through. Now for these ones, you don't want to nip them tight, because you do need to have a little bit of play. You don't want a lot of slop, but you do want to have it so it's relatively snug. Now, and I say that, our gear stick's got quite a flop on. It is on the to-do list to remake one. Like we did the hire car, we used fancy rose joints and this, that and the other. It's nice and solid, but it does still have a lot of movement. So a lot of the parts here, the good thing about these cars is a lot of the parts, they're very easy to replicate and easy to make. So if you wanted to upgrade some bits, it's not like you've got to go £1,000 on a new gear shaft assembly. It's only whatever you can think of that works. But there we have it. Make sure she selects gears, which she does. Now we've already put water in it, so let's give it a test. Now this year, and a lot of the years, our engine likes to be a bit smirky. So we apologise if it turns into a Tonight Michael I Will Be. Stars in the eyes, bit of background. So will she start? No. And there we have it. But we forgot to tighten the top gearbox bolts. So in with the 13 and tighten these top two before I forget. See, trying to be professional and do it all on camera, you forget things. Usually we can just do this. Well, I say be professional. You're watching a Yorkshireman in a weird hat talk to you about stock cars with Reliant engines in. So that is front end done. That's engine gearbox in. So next we have back axle. So we're going to take that apart. We've got bearings to replace. We've got creaky weird noises to sort out. But first, we would like to say a massive thank you to Rebels Racing, Ells Sticker Studio and Stox-comms, because without those guys we would not be able to bring you these informational videos. So with that being said, we're going to end the video here, and if you guys want to support us, a like, a comment, a subscribe, ring the bell, it all does help for the future. So with the engine in, gearbox in, front end done, we've got one more big job to do on the back axle, and then we're going to be getting ready for racing. So tune in next time and we'll see you then.